Very good evening, everyone. I hope my voice is audible. I see a bunch of participants with us already. Let me just quickly enable the chat for you guys so that you can give me a yes or no. Yeah. All right. The chat is enabled for all of you. I hope you're able to hear, guys. Okay. So, audience, a quick yes or no on chat will help if you're able to hear me. Okay, great. I see Mr. Amarendra has responded. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so good to see that we have some participants who have already joined us. We will be starting off shortly, just waiting for some more of the audience to join us, and post that we can get going. Okay, great to see the responses. Yeah, Mr. Chandan Kumar, Mr. Ravisha, Mr. Manjunath, very good evening all. Very good evening. Good evening, Mr. Lohit. Okay, so I see that we have some, excuse me, sorry about that. I see that we already have some level of engagement on the chat, and we'd like to keep this going because we have, if you have attended our previous webinars, in fact, I want to know how many of you are actually repeat attendees, how many of you have attended our previous webinars with our speaker, Mr. Akela Prakash. You can use the raise hand feature, or you can drop a yes or no in chat if you're a first time attendee or if you're a repeat attendee. Good evening, Mr. Bhaskar. Okay, Mr. Amrendra is a first time. Okay. Okay, good to see that. Okay, Ravisha. All right, first time. Not bad. Okay, we have the first three responses that are first timers. Okay, wonderful to see that. Okay, any repeat attendees that we have right now? Any repeat attendees? Okay, all right. Okay. Great to hear that, Mr. Mani. I do recognize your name. Yes. All right. So, audience, I wanted, while we still wait another 2 to 3 minutes before we start off, I just want to know what is it that you're expecting from today's session, right? So, as you can see, I'm sure all of you have registered and you went through the invite. I want to know what is it that you're expecting from today's session. It is obviously going to be on the e-waybill system. So let us know what are some of the things that you think will be covered today and what is it that you're expecting from the session. Please use the chat. You can drop in your comments and we'll have a quick discussion on this end. All right. I think there's a few more of the audience that have joined us. We'll be starting off very shortly, guys. Okay. I see that we are almost reaching a few more attendees who joined us. Okay. Mr. Amarendra says, anyway, Bill, what are the mistakes we are doing and required way to remove mistakes? Okay. I'm sure we will be discussing that, Mr. Amarendra, but that's a good question. In fact, we will definitely discuss that. Okay, Ravisha, let us know about how to do bulk e-way bill. Okay. All right. Okay, there might be certain questions that I believe are a little solution oriented. We will also take them up. Okay, audience, we have our speaker waiting at the backstage. I think without any further ado, let's get started. All right. Very good evening once again. I hope my voice is loud and clear, audible to all. Let me introduce myself. I am Siddharth Nandakumar. I handle product marketing at WebSol, and I will also be your moderator for the day. So before we head forward, and while I hand it over to a speaker, and obviously all of you are looking forward to the topic, I'd like to run you through a quick, short introduction about the company that I represent, that is WebSol. So a quick timeline of our evolution. We were in fact part of Wipro's IT business, more to say the peripherals manufacturing division of the company. We were very well known for the printers that we had on offer, dot matrix. That is where we started off. And over the years, the company, the division of Wipro decided to step out of um, Wipro and form a separate company in the name of Web Solutions. So over the years, we pioneered the managed print services model. I will talk a little bit about that in the portfolio introduction. And moving forward, in 2017, we launched our digital workplace solutions portfolio. So this is where our GST related solution also came into picture. And in the recent times, we in fact I've tied up with certain printing giants, digital workplace giants like Fujifilm and Ricoh. And a rather significant radical change that happened to the company was our complete rebrand, which happened. We are now known by the name of WebSol, as you can see in the slide. More on this as we move forward. Okay, a few quick company highlights. Okay, I see that Mr. Ashok has mentioned voice not audible. Audience, I hope the rest of you are able to hear me. I'm just taking a quick pause to check. Okay, Mr. Bhaskar says yes. All right. Okay, great. Thanks for the confirmation, guys. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Ashok, you can just check your volume levels, or you can actually exit and join back. Sometimes that helps. Okay, wonderful. Let's get going. As you can see, these are quick company highlights. We're present in over 2,500 service locations in India. We come with over 563 enterprise customers. We also won the Company of the Year award in 2022. And the most recent addition to our accolades is we were awarded the #1 MPS company for the year 2024 by VAR India. Okay, moving forward. All right, so this is our solution portfolio. I will not spend too much time here. We go by the name of FluidWorks, which is our workplace suite. So under this, we have multiple offerings, which again go by the name of Fluid, since our solutions are scalable and tailor-made according to your requirement for the end user. So what is Fluid Pro, Fluid Print, Fluid Map, and Fluid Trail? I will talk about this in the next slide. Fluid Pro is our managed IT services suite, where we provide various different solutions under it, namely managed SOC, security solutions, cybersecurity, your remote infrastructure management, asset management, to name a few. We also have a dedicated 24/7 NOC support team that sits in Bangalore in our headquarters. So that's for Fluid Pro. What is Fluid Print? As the name suggests, this is our managed print services solution. Over here, to give you an example, we offer printers on a large number scale based on a requirement, and we will simply offer it on a capex model, capex or opex. So what you will need to do is simply pay for the number of prints, number of papers you print, number of pages you print on a monthly basis. So this is the print model that we have. We are also number one in India on this end. Moving to fluid map. As you can see, we spoke about managed IT services. We spoke about certain tools. We spoke about assets. We also spoke about printers, correct? So these many things are there in every organization, but how do you manage this? How do you monitor this is the significant question over here. So this is where Fluid Map comes into picture. This is our IT asset management solution. It is a tool that is simply installed in your network, and you will be able to basically see how many printers, how many computers, how many Wi-Fi modems, routers are basically online or offline. And if there's any downtime also, you can take a look at that. You can also, excuse me, monitor the number of papers, who printed it at what time, at what location. These are some of the things that you can monitor with FluidMap. Fluid Trail, this is our workflow automation solution for different departments, to name a few, like the HR department, finance department. We also have solutions ready for the procurement department. So these are some things under Fluid Trail. As you can see, we also have presence on the retail end, but I will not be talking much about it. So we will move forward. Now, audience, I don't think we might spend a lot of time on the demo, but we do have something incoming for you as the webinar goes. But excuse me, what I'd like to do is I'd like to launch a quick poll to check with you guys. Would you be interested in a free demo of FlowTax, our GST solution? Please note that this demo will be obviously free of cost, and we will reach out to you based on your availability and understand what kind of requirement you have. Please note the solution takes care of your standard reconciliation, e-invoicing, e-way bill, as we are going to talk about it. We also offer integrations on various levels. It can be your simple API integrations, or if you're looking at ERP integrations, that is also something that we take care of. We have support for Oracle, SAP, Microsoft Dynamics, Navision, all of that is taken care. All right, I see some responses. I will leave this poll on for another 15 seconds, guys, and then we will move forward. Okay, wonderful. Thank you for the responses. I will end the poll here. All right, thank you so much. Now let's move on to the next slide. Of course, without any further ado, I'd like to introduce our speaker for the day. Now, a quick introduction about our speaker, Akela Prakasa Rao. Mr. Akela is an independent indirect tax advocate. He graduated in 1989 from Birla Institute of Technology and Science, BITS Pilani, in other words, in electrical and electronics engineering. He is also a gold medal holder who completed LLB from Andhra University in the year 2001. Mr. Akela is a certified fraud examiner as well, but currently not active. He has worked in the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, that is CBIC, from 1994 to 2008. He's worked for KPMG Bangalore from the years 2008 to 13. His other major stints were with Toyota Kirloskar Motor Bidadi from the years 2013 to 2016, and lastly Biocon from the years 2016 to 2020-21. Mr. Akela is also a member of the indirect tax committees of various trade bodies, to name a few, like BCCI, CII, FICCI, and so on. While Mr. Akela is a very active speaker in most webinars, not just our webinars, he's also an active article writer in TIOL, Tax Sutra, on various tax issues, and addresses various forums on indirect tax matters. Mr. Akela comes with over 3 decades of experience in the field of indirect taxes, with exposure in government, consultancy, and industries, to name a few, like auto and pharma. He has hands-on experience in GST, customs, FTP, SEC, central and state excise, to name a few. He's currently practicing as indirect tax advocate, assisting a large number of clients on all aspects of indirect taxes at all levels. In fact, audience, post webinar, I will be dropping a mail, and you will be able to reach out to him if you have any sort of queries or any services that you're looking at. I take great pleasure on introducing him on yet another webinar with us. I'm sure the audience is looking forward to directly hearing from you, sir. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Siddharth, for those kind words. And thank you, Websol, for hosting me for a second webinar in the same month with a gap of just a week.
Absolutely.
So the thing is that there is three important pillars of GST is what we have covered in these sessions. We started with invoice management system last month, and this month then we touched upon the electronic invoicing, that how to go about it. Now that we are going in for the electronic way bill, which is another important pillar in the GST compliances. So after this, just I'm taking just a minute for just to tell you that in the month of December on 19th, we are going to have another webinar wherein that we are going to discuss on the input tax credit availability on the telecom towers, the recent Supreme Court decision in the Bharati Airtel, in the backdrop of another Supreme Court decision on immovable property in the matter of safari retreats. So, this particular session is going to cover both Bharti Airtel's decision as well as the safari retreats decision also. But you will be getting a separate mailer invitation and all that for the next webinar. So I'm just briefing you about it. And coming back to today's session, and the agenda will be what is the history and role of the GST compliance, and what are the legal provisions, what are the practical challenges and issues, and some of the important points in the question and answers with a small demo on the e-way bill system also is going to be offered in this session today. Next slide, please. Yeah, electronic e-way bill is not a new concept in the indirect taxes. It is in existence since long, even under the erstwhile VAT regime, where we used to call it as a way bill. So or lorry receipt. So these are the popular names that we are familiar with in the past. The state of Karnataka is the pioneer in this area, where they have introduced the computerized entry exit of the goods entering the state in the year 2005, when VAT was introduced. At the time of introduction of the GST, there were discussions on two important points: to introduce a system-based verification mechanism in the case of invoices issued, and to record the movement of high-value goods in order to check evasion. These are the two important points that were taken up for discussion, and you can see the way that these two points have taken shape in the current GST, that there is a system-based verification mechanism in the case of invoices in the form of electronic invoicing system, coupled with the communication tool in the form of invoice management system, IMS. And then to record the movement of high value is what we are going to cover today, the electronic way bill system. So this system was made operative from 1st of April 2018 under the GST to implement the electronic e-way bill system to monitor the movement of goods intra as well as interstate. So there are conditions like who has to issue, for what are the conditions, how to go about and all, which we are going to cover soon. Next slide, please. So what are the legal provisions around e-way bill? An e-way bill is a document that needs to be generated online on the government portal for transportation of goods with a consignment value of more than 50,000. So the important difference one needs to observe here, that e-way bill is a system generated e-way bill only, whereas electronic invoice is not a system generated invoice for you. It is an invoice which is being endorsed by the government, but it is not a system for generating your invoices. But e-way bill system is a system where that the way bill gets generated on the government portal only. So this is not an endorsement, but this is a system provision itself. So it needs to be generated before the movement of goods commences. So don't ever be under the impression that when caught that we can generate. No, not possible. It has to be generated before the movement takes off. To arrive at the consignment value, while the GST charged on an invoice needs to be included, the value of the exempted supply, if any, need not be included. So what is included is the taxes, but what is not included is value of exempted supplies. So the copy or the number of the e-way bill generated needs to be carried by the person in charge of the transportation of the goods, along with the copy of invoice and delivery challan. E-way bill can be carried in the form of a printout, an SMS, or even written on an invoice. So There is no requirement that you need to physically carry the copies. So it is completely a digital driven system. So even an electronic form or an SMS, or even if the number is there available with you in the form of a message or a WhatsApp or whatever it is, that will do. An e-way bill needs to be generated in relation to the following transactions: movement of goods in relation to their supply for a consideration, movement of goods for reasons other than supply of goods, sales returns, or movement for repair of goods, free of cost supplies, etc., and domestic procurement of goods from an unregistered person, import of goods from outside India. In all these cases, e-way bill needs to be generated. Next slide, please. Yeah. What are the cases in which e-way bill need not be generated? So there are some cases where e-way bill is not mandated. Goods that have been exempted from the ambit of GST. If you are transporting only exempted goods, there is no requirement for the e-way bill. Goods not covered under the GST. So what are they? Alcohol, crude oil, petrol, diesel, natural gas, aviation turbine fuel. For all these things, e-way bill is not required because they are all covered under the erstwhile central excise as well as VAT regimes even today also. They were not yet subsumed in the GST. So specified goods such as jewelry, precious or semi-precious stones, currency, used personal or household effects, and LPG, e-way bill is not mandated. And the transportation of empty cargo container. Of course, in point number 3, you may have a doubt that specified goods such as jewelry is exempt, is what they are saying. But now that they have mandated it in some states, so it has not been made universally. But in the case of gold and jewelry movement, that there are states which are insisting on e-way bill. And transportation of empty cargo containers, it is not required. Movement under a customs bond from an ICD or CFS to a port, airport, air cargo complex, or land customs station, e-way bill is not required because it is under the customs bond, not yet come into the country. So transportation of goods under customs supervision or a customs bond, movement by non-motorized conveyance. So if it is not a motorized conveyance, then e-way bill is not required. Goods transported to or from Nepal or Bhutan. Movement of goods caused by defense formations under Ministry of Defense as a consignor or a consignee. Consignor transporting goods to or from between place of business and a weighbridge for weighment at a distance of 20 kilometers accompanied by a delivery challan. So wherever the weigh bridges are not available in the vicinity of the factory, but if there is a requirement that the goods need to be weighed before they are taken up for transportation, in such a cases, if it so happens that the weigh bridge is within the 20-kilometer vicinity of the factory of manufacture, then for that short distance of 20 kilometers, there is no requirement for e-way bill. But if the distance exceeds the 20 kilometers, then it should be accompanied by an e-way bill only. Goods being transported by rail, where the consignor of goods is the central government, state government, or a local authority. Next slide, please. So persons who are responsible for the e-way bill, both registered or unregistered person can generate an e-way bill, provided if they are either consignor or a consignee or a transporter. So this is a very important concept to understand, that e-way bill can be generated by the supplier, recipient, or the person who is transporting the goods. So all of them are empowered to generate the e-way bill on the government portal. Next slide, please. So what are the exemptions from e-way bill if it is not required to be generated, in which cases that the list of the goods is provided under the rule 138.14. So if you are interested, maybe you can go through this slide, because I am just putting it for your information only, that LPG for supply of household and non-domestic exempted category customers, kerosene oil sold under the PDS, Postal baggage transported by the Department of Posts, natural and cultural pearls as precious, semi-precious stones, precious metals and metals clad with precious metal, jewelry, goldsmiths, silversmiths, wares and other articles, currency, used personal household effects, coral, unworked and worked corals, and goods being transported by non-motorized conveyance, goods being transported from port, airport, air cargo complex, land customs station to an ICD or CFS, for clearance by the customs in respect of movement of goods within such areas as notified under 138.14 of the SGST rules of the concerned state, where the goods other than de-oiled cake being transported are specified in the schedule appended to notification 2 of 2017 central tax as amended, and then
Okay. Audience, I hope you're able to hear us. I think we may have lost our speaker for a while. Just give us a minute.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
back
Yeah, we can hear him now. Yes.
because some pressing that it went out. So
That's all
next
right,
slide,
sir.
please. Yeah, where the goods being transported are treated as no supply under Section 111 of the Act, where the goods are being transported under customs bond from ICD CFS to a customs port or airport, and then from one port to the other port, or under the customs supervision and the customs seal, where the goods being transported are transit cargo to and fro from Nepal or Bhutan, where the goods being transported are exempted from tax under notification 7 of 2017 as amended from time to time, and notification 26 of 2007 CT, and any movement of goods caused by defense formations, and where the concerner of the goods is central government, a state or local authority, and the transportation of goods by rail, where empty cargo containers are being transported, where the goods are being transported up to a distance of 20 kilometers from the place of business for the weighbridge purposes, where empty cylinders for packing of liquid petroleum gas are being moved for reasons other than supply. Thus, no e-way bill is required to be generated in respect of exempted goods and entries under 138.14. Movement of goods exempted under Rule 138.14 will also be exempted under the CGST rules, and this exemption is provided for intrastate movement. E-way bill is not required even when there is supply without any movement of goods. It may also be noted that e-way bill is required for every interstate movement of goods, even in cases where the supply is intrastate. These last two lines are very important. I'm just repeating for your better understanding. E-way bill is not required even when there is supply without any movement of goods. How there can be a supply without any movement of goods? You are going to generate, it will be a bill to ship to kind of a transaction wherein you are going to bill it to a person. There is a supply, but physical delivery will not happen to that person. So in such cases, that e-way bill is not required, and it may also be noted that e-way bill is required for every interstate movement. This is another classic example wherein it is a bill to ship to. So the billed address is intrastate, but the ship to address is interstate. In such a cases, e-way bill is required. So these are the two important things that one needs to take care. So these are the legal provisions in nutshell. I have initially told, but elaborately that I have told for your purpose that I have again put these two slides. That's it. Next slide, please. Yeah, use of e-way bill. E-way bill is mandatory for interstate movement of goods of consignment value exceeding 50,000 in a motorized conveyance. Registered GST payers can register in the e-way bill portal using the GSTN. Registered persons means it can be a supplier, recipient, or a transporter. Any of them can get registered for in the e-way bill portal for generating the e-way bills. Unregistered person and transporters can enroll in the e-way bill system by providing their PAN and Aadhaar number. To enable the unregistered persons also to generate a e-way bill, that this provision has been created, that using their PAN and Aadhaar, they can get registered. So supplier, recipient, and transporter can generate the e-way bill. Vehicle number can be entered, updated in Part B of the e-way bill 01 format by those who have generated the e-way bill or by the transporter. QR code is provided in the e-way bill to facilitate quick verification using QR code scanners. Certain goods have been exempted from the e-way bill and the list is available under 138, which we have discussed just now. Next slide, please. So, what are the modes of generation of the e-way bill? There are various modes of generating the e-way bill using either web online or using an Android app. IMEI of the phone registered mobile has to be given, and SMS based through registered mobile number or Excel based upload is provided for bulk generation. I think in the chat box, one of our participants is interested to know how e-way bills can be generated in case of bulk invoices. So maybe in our demo, Websol will be able to address that once again to you. But an Excel-based upload is provided for bulk generation of e-way bills. If the e-way bill is generated with wrong information, it can be cancelled and new e-way bill can be generated. There is no option for you to make an amendment. So the only option is cancel. Provision for cancellation of e-way bill within 24 hours by the person who have generated the e-way bill is there, and recipient can reject the e-way bill within 72 hours of generation or before the goods reach the destination, whichever is earlier. Unfortunately, that line is missing over here. And alert messages are also issued to the users through online SMSs. Next slide, please. So, the e-way bill is divided into two parts, Part A and Part B. So, Part A basically contains the invoice or the document number and the date, GST registration numbers of the supplier and the recipient, description value of the goods being transported, PIN code of the place of dispatch and the delivery. These are the basic details that are required to be mentioned in Part A. These are mandatory. And Part B includes the vehicle related information. What is the mode of transport, whether it is a rail, road, or air or ship, and the vehicle number in the case of road transport, document number and date of transport. And it should be noted that Part B doesn't need to be captured for movement of goods from a consignor to a transporter's hub or for further transportation or from a transporter's hub to the consignee, provided such movement is within 50 kilometers range and in the same state. That is intrastate. Interstate, even if it is 50 kilo, you have to generate the e-way bill. Exemption is not available for the movement of goods from consignor to consignee or vice versa. Next slide, please. Siddharth, you don't have any poll questions?
There is, sir. It's just that I didn't want to break your continuity. Probably in a slide or two, we will launch.
Yeah, okay. So some of the legal provisions which are relevant rules and all, just I am briefing it out here for your benefit. Rule 138. Information to be furnished prior to the commencement of the movement of goods and generation of e-way bill details and provisions thereof. 138A is the documents and devices to be carried by a person in charge of the conveyance. Rule 138B, verification of documents and conveyance. C is inspection and verification of the goods. D is facility for uploading information regarding detention of the vehicle. E is a restriction furnishing the information in Part A. And 139 is inspection, search and seizure. 140 is bonds and security for release of seized goods. 142 is notice order for demand of amounts payable under the Act. 144A is recovery of penalty by sale of goods or conveyance detained or seized in transit. 147 is recovery of sale by of movable or immovable property. 154 is disposal of the proceeds of sale of goods or conveyance or movable or immovable property. I am not reproducing the rules over here. I am just touching upon which rules are relevant while understanding on the e-way bill. So you can refer to the CGST Act for a detailed discussion on these rules. Next slide, please.
So, sir, I'll give you a quick break over here since you've been talking. Let's launch a poll right now. So, audience, there are going to be some polls that are obviously based on the content that we spoke about, content that Kela sir has mentioned. So, here's the first poll for you. What is the minimum consignment value for generating an e-way bill? I think this is discussed 2 slides before. Can we have maximum engagement on these polls, guys? We have 2 more polls that will be incoming. I see about 20, okay, not bad, 24, 26. Okay. I'd like to see about 36 to 40 responses on these polls. Can we have that, guys? As I can see, most of them have got the answer right, obviously. Okay. Can we have four more responses? Okay. Just one more and then I think, okay, done. Great, guys. Thanks a lot for your responses. I'm just going to share this anyway. I think most of them have got the answer right, sir. All right, great. So I will launch one more poll, but a little later. Sir, you can carry forward this. Okay. In the meantime, I see that there's a response on Q&A. Audience, you can drop in your queries. Anything there is on Q&A or chat. We will be taking it up very shortly, right after the slides are done. So we'll be spending a good amount on of time just on your questions.
Yeah. Now,
Yes, sir, you can go ahead.
yeah, there are some controlling measures which are future-proof that the government is introducing. Like vehicles are going to be fitted with RFID tags. Already, some of the vehicles are already fitted with the RFID tags, and they were mapped with the e-way bill that gets generated in order to track the movement of goods. This is happening particularly in the cold shipments in pharma sector. In addition, toll tax payments are also being tracked in order to establish the movement of goods. So this has become a bone of contention in many of the judgments which are on the e-way bill disputes, that the toll tax payment receipts have come in handy for the SSEs to establish that the goods were in fact moved. While generating e-way bill, depending on the distance to travel, time limits are prescribed for the validity of the e-way bill in order to curb the diversion of the goods. So they have estimated that what is the minimum distance a transport vehicle can move, and depending on that the e-way bill itself will specify that how many days the e-way bill is going to be valid. But definitely for reasons which are practical in nature, that this time limit can be extended on the request of the person who has generated the e-way bill. Option is made available to report accidents, breakdowns of the vehicles in order to seek extension of the validity of the e-way bill. So that option is also there. An option of rejection of an e-way bill was given in order to identify fake or unintended movement of the goods within 72 hours of generation of the e-way bill, or the delivery of the goods, whichever is earlier, with an option of cancellation within 24 hours in the case e-way bill was not verified by an officer en route. So these are some of the provisions which are inbuilt in order to for the benefit of the SSEs only. Blocking of the e-way bill generation facility for non-filing of two consecutive GSTR 3B returns by the SSE. This is something draconian, but people say, but from the point of view of the revenue, that it's a controlling measure that you need to abide by. So these are some of the controlling measures the government has introduced in the context of electronic waybill system. Next slide, please. So there are some practical challenges and there will be issues whenever a new system is introduced. So when any system is introduced, there are going to be practical challenges and issues to be dealt. And an evolving legal system, there will be more of such issues, as the law also needs to be amended from time to time considering these difficulties. In fact, this is one good change that we can see, that after the introduction of the GST, government is listening to the industry's woes and they are coming out with amendments. But it may not be, the pace is not in sync with the expectations from the SSE's end, but definitely from the government's side. If you see from the past in the VAT regime or the excise regime, what is happening in the GST is really laudable. And accordingly, the government has also made a lot of changes in the rules and procedures in order to strengthen the e-way bill system in the interest of ease of doing business, as well as keeping the end goal of compliance in view. These changes can be tracked in the form of circulars, instructions, and settled case laws in the public domain. And the same will take more time to cover in this session, and we are not covering it. But definitely, if you see any case law reporters, maximum number of case laws are only on the e-way bill system only. And some of the important issues that were taken care are how to handle the bill to ship to transactions, blockage of portals, seizure and release of the consignments, etc. Now, after the introduction of invoice management system, the gap in the communication between the consignor and the consignee is also addressed, because it is the mechanism through which the dialogue can happen, and will surely facilitate in further strengthening of the input tax credit mechanism under the GST. So, with these objectives, the systems are being strengthened by the government. Sometimes that they will put some undue pressure on the SSCs in order to comply with them, but nevertheless, they'll help you in reducing your litigation and in quick availment of your input tax credit also. Next slide, please. So, you are going to have a live demo of the e-way bill, that how to go about it. And any of your doubts, if you have, that you please raise those questions so that the team will be able to answer to you. And after that, we will discuss elaborately on your practical challenges, and all your questions are going to be addressed.
Absolutely, sir. So thank you so much, sir. We'll see you in a very short bit. So, audience, I'm going to introduce one of our GST tech persons very shortly. But what I'm request all of you to do is quickly check your chat. I'm going to drop a link on your chat, and I request all of you to please head to the link. Just one moment. Let me just drop that here. Okay, so this is a live poll that is actually running on our LinkedIn company page based on e-way bill again. I request all of you to click on the link, head to your LinkedIn page, select the answer and come back. We will immediately head back to the demo. But let me just read out the question for the rest of them. What does part A of the e-way bill contain? There are 4 options: vehicle details, invoice details, delivery schedule, and transporter contact information. Request all of you to try and attempt this MCQ and come back to our page. We will have the demo ingoing. Divya, you're able to hear us? I hope you're there.
Yes, Siddhartha,
okay.
I'm there.
Great. Okay. All right, audience, as our speaker mentioned, please drop your queries on chat or Q&A. I think I see a bunch of queries on Q&A. We will shortly attempt them. Okay, I see some responses that have come in on our poll. On a side note, those of you who would like to obviously see more of GST content, be it blogs or any updates, please feel free to follow us. You can follow us, our page, and you'll start seeing regular updates. I think we have some decent responses. We can get back to this. Rest of you are still attempting. You can finish and come back. I'd like to introduce Divya Bharati, who's our GST tech head, and I will hand it over to her. She will be running through a very short demo of our solution and will be covering certain aspects of the e-way bill system on our platform. Divya, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Siddhartha. Yeah, hi everyone. I'm sharing the screen from my side.
Yeah, Divya, let me know if you're able to share your screen. Otherwise, I will have to give you the permissions, I think.
Yes, Siddhartha.
Just a
You have
minute,
to.
just a minute. Yeah, I hope you're able to do it now.
Yeah, thank you. Hi everyone. As I already discussed in the previous session regarding the services which we are providing under the float tax services is we are providing into the three different services. One is ASP GSP integration and managed filing services. Under ASP, we are providing the different services like a GST compliance, reconciliation, e-invoice, e-way bill, and customized PDF. ASP services is nothing but it is totally depending upon the platform-based services. Uh, And next, coming to ASP GSP integration is nothing but like where we are providing the APIs. When we are coming to the e-invoice and e-webel, there is no manual intervention will be allocated. So once we have done the integration into your ERP system completely, it is a automation where is no manual intervention is required. So this is related to ASP GSP integration. Managed filing services is nothing but like we have a dedicated resource who will be helping our customers in filing the returns, generating the e-invoices, and generating the e-webel. So this is the three kind of services which we are providing, and I am showcasing the demo of our platform. Like this is our platform, and when I'm going to the e-webel, like under the e-webel we have two different things. As now whenever the e-invoice is being implemented, like based upon the IRN number we are generating the e-webel, and there is a separate standalone e-webel where we are previously, before not implemented the e-invoice, we would have generated the e-webel. So this is a phase like whatever we are showing is standalone e-webel. In this case, we have bifurcated into a dashboard, like where it is being presenting as a summary, like generated, cancelled, and what is the summary like for each GST, and how many e-webels are generated, how many e-webels are cancelled. So this is a complete dashboard of the e-webel which we has there. And under the e-webel, like we have a three different things process of e-webel. Like one is a manually entering the e-webel. Like here is a page which you are able to view is a like the users has to enter each and every detail manually, and then they can click on the generate e-webel. So based upon that entering the details, this is an individualized generation of e-webel. As most of the customers will be looking for the bulk generation of e-webel. So here also we have an option like whoever the customers looking for the bulk generation of thing, they needs to upload this complete Excel file, like a number of invoices. It is depending upon by whatever the data we have, we can upload multiple e-webels at a time. We can generate by preparing this template. So we have a standard template where we can upload. And if suppose if you have any ERP also, like from there we can do the customization according to your requirement, and you can upload that template also according to your requirement. There is no like a customization filling of each and every data. Whatever the data exported from your ERP, if you can provide us that particular Excel initially for the first time, we can develop on behalf of you, and that template you can upload whenever you want to generate the e-webel. Any questions on this? So here once we have generated the e-webel.
Divya, just one moment, okay? I think there's one of them who mentioned if you can slow down a little bit. I think we'll also take a few breaks in between to attend the questions, okay? So if you can just
Okay.
slow down a little bit, that'll be great, Divya.
Okay,
Okay,
fine.
thanks. Yeah.
Fine, Siddharth. So here we can upload the template into our platform. Once we have uploaded the template, here we will be able to view the data. Like whatever the invoices we have uploaded, based upon this categorization invoice level, we can generate at a time bulk wise. And here we can download the PDF bulk wise. By selecting this particular option, we can able to generate the PDFs at a time. Next, consolidated e-webel also we can able to generate here from our system. Likewise, we have a separate kinds of things like update vehicle number, update vehicle multi-vehicle list, and update transporter ID, cancel and reject. Like as we are aware, like we can able to cancel within 24 hours. Like once the e-webel has been generated, if we are not able to cancel, again we have to extend that particular e-webel. Based upon that, we have to do according to that once the e-webel has been generated. Then next here we can able to view the status, like whether the particular e-webel has been cancelled or whether it is being active or not. We can able to check among the status also from our system.
Okay. Divya, just one moment. I think
Hmm.
let's take a pause to check if there's any questions on chat, okay?
Okay.
Excuse me. Audience, any questions so far regarding the demo or anything that you'd like to ask Ms. Divya? We're taking a short pause to just check. Okay, I think there is one question from just a minute, Mr. Venkatesh. Even we upload bulk data for e-waybill generation, one invoice will have one e-waybill.
Oh, yes, exactly. One e-webel, like one invoice number will consisting of only one e-webel number only. There will be no different e-webel number for different.
Okay, let me just check if there's a rest. Okay, all right.
Okay.
Any
Hmm.
other questions, team? Any other questions that you'd like to ask before we continue? Okay. If any questions come, we will take it up. Divya, you can go ahead.
Okay. So this is a kind of a standalone e-webel, and like when I am coming to the e-invoice e-webel, like based upon the e-invoice whatever we have generated, there we have an option like we can able to generate the e-invoice along with e-webel. So they are the two different categories. Sorry. So this is a template which I am showing you, like in order to understand what exactly like this is also we can upload the bulk wise at a time in our system. So here are the transporter details where we can upfill first time along with the e-invoice detail. Automatically the system will consider e-invoice along with e-webel. This is a one kind of e-webel generation which is available under the e-invoice. So this is a manual generation. So based upon the IRN number, like in case if you don't want to generate the e-webel because due to the transportation takes place delay, right? In that case, what the customers will do is they will generate the first e-invoice, then they will be generating the sorry, I'm sorry. They will be generating the e-invoice for the first time, and then next they will be generating the e-webel, right? So in that case, what will the customer will do is they will upload the template of e-invoice for the first time, and then they will prefer the next template. So we have an option to upload in our system directly also based upon the IRN number. If you enter the IRN number, automatically the detail will fetch from the whatever the e-invoice has been generated. Only you have to fill the details of export related transactions and mode of transporter details. Then if you click on generate e-webel, the e-webel will be generated. So this is a kind of complete e-webel generation in our system. So whenever it is coming to the ASP and GSP integration, so once we have provided you the APIs in your ERP system, whether it is a SAP, Oracle, or Tally, or Micro Dimension kind of thing, once we will be integrating our e-invoice or e-webel APIs in your system, then whatever the response it will be moved to the e-webel portal, then directly it will come to our WEP portal. So you have an option like if suppose if your ERP system is down, also directly you can get the access to our system, and you can able to upload bulk wise by using the Excel template, whatever the process we are following for the first time, the same thing which we can able to get. So here we have a different kind of options like cancel e-webel, and like we can able to print the invoices on bulk wise at a time. You can able to take the invoices bulk wise, you can able to export this all invoices at a time. So this is a complete process of our e-webel and e-invoice in our platform. They are the simple steps which we can able to follow. Like I can suggest you, like once you if you suppose if you are having a ERP kind of thing, you can integrate APIs, though there is no manual intervention. Once integration process has been completed on a daily basis, you can able to generate the e-webel. Any questions or anything to me?
Yes, Divya. Yes, yes. Okay. I think that completes your demo, if I'm right, correct?
Yes, Siddharth,
Okay.
this is
All right. Okay. So we'll just take up, I think there are a few queries that have come. Let me just read it for you. From one from Mr. Sriraja. Uh, I am transporting branded rice worth more than 2 lakhs on road of weight 24 kgs. Should I generate an e-way bill?
Divya, I thought that you are.
Worth is it's more than 50,000, right? If there is like we have to generate the e-webel.
Generate. Right, right, right.
See, the thing is
Yes,
that
sir.
it is a branded rice.
Hmm.
Branded rice is subject to GST, because if it is an unbranded, then it is not. But if it is a branded rice, then it is subject to GST. When the value exceeds 50,000 rupees, you are
Then we have.
liable to generate.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Sriraja, I hope that answers your question. If there's any other questions, you can drop the questions on chat. Let me read the next one from Mr. Venkatesh. Within 20-kilometer radius for weightment, e-way bill is not required as you mentioned. I am sure there should be some document which needs to be carried by the transporter. Can you update on this?
Sir, I have already updated it. It is a delivery challan. In my PPT, if you see that it should be with a delivery challan, you can go to the weighbridge and come back.
Right. Okay. So that is answered. Okay. Thank you, sir. There's one more question from Mr. Venkatesh. I have goods worth of 10 lakhs with an invoice. If I transport this in a cart, do we need to generate e-way bill?
See, if you
No,
are
we
going
have
in
to.
for a horse cart or a bullock cart, then delivery challan is okay. Because
Hmm.
e-way bill is meant for motorized conveyance only.
Okay. All right. Okay. Mr. Venkatesh, hope that answers your question. Okay, audience, any other questions regarding the solution or anything that you'd like to get clarified? Feel free to.
Yeah,
Okay, no
somebody
one.
had, I think Venkatesh only had asked, when you are doing a bulk data for e-way bill generation, one invoice will have one e-way bill. It all depends, sir. You can consolidate many invoices into one e-way bill because it will be loaded onto one single vehicle, or otherwise, each invoice will be for a separate e-way bill. It is your choice.
Right. Let me do one thing. I think we will anyway head back to our presentation and we'll continue the queries. Is that okay for both of you, Kela and Divya?
Huh,
Yeah,
yes,
perfect.
yes, that's
Okay,
fine.
great. So Divya, I think you can go on mute. Thank you so much for
Huh,
your time.
thank you.
But yeah, you can just stay, be on standby. If there's any questions, we'll come back to you. Okay, going back to
Sure, Siddharth.
this. Yeah, thank you, Divya. Okay, going back to this. All right, so audience, I think we can go back to a few more slides that Kela sir would like to present for you. Sir, over to you.
Yeah. So there are a couple of other important information I wanted to share it with you before taking up your Q&A. So these are the various forms that you have, which are important for you while dealing with the e-way bill. So these are all GST movement, MOV1. It is a statement of person in charge of the vehicle. 2 is the order for physical verification of the conveyance goods or document. 3 is for extension of time between beyond 3 days for inspection of conveyance goods or document. 4 is report of physical verification of the conveyance. 5 is release order. 6 is order of detention. 7 is issuance of notice for levying tax and penalty. 8 is a bond with security in the form of bank guarantee. 9 is order on the notice issued. 10 is notice for confiscation and imposition of penalty. 11 is order on the notice issued for confiscation. And then e-way bill forms. 01 is a e-way bill. 2 is a consolidated e-way bill. 3 is the inspection report of the officer. 4 is the transporter report regarding detention of the vehicle beyond 30 minutes. So these are the various terminology that you need to be familiar with while dealing with the e-way bill systems and all. Otherwise, what happens? Suddenly somebody says MOR6 has been issued. So you should not be worrying that what is this MOR6? MOV6. It is order of detention. So you have to act quickly. So that is the reason I just wanted to bring it to your notice here in a nutshell. Yeah. Next slide, please. Yeah, see, regarding the validity, that in the normal cargo up to 100 kilometers, 1 day time is given. In the over-dimensional cargo or multimodal transshipment, at least one leg involves the transshipment by the ship and all, then the time limit is different. And for every 100 kilometers or part thereof, one additional day will be given. In the case of over-dimensional cargo or multimodal shipment, then it is going to be 20 kilometers per day and extra 20 kilometers, one extra day will be given. So that's how normally the validity of e-way bill is decided by the system and it will be given upfront to you. Next slide, please. Yeah, multiple consignments in one conveyance, all more than 50,000 rupees. The consignor has generated e-way bill for all consignments. A consolidated e-way bill in form GST EWB02 may be generated on the common portal prior to the movement. Multiple consignments in one conveyance, all more than 50,000, but the consignor has not generated e-way bill. Then the transporter has to generate individual GSTR EW01 and then he can consolidate into EWB02. Multiple consignments in one conveyance, few consignments have consignment value less than 50,000 and EWB not generated for these consignments. Then transporter shall generate for all the consignments above 50,000 rupees separately EW01 and then he can consolidate into EWB02. These are some of the important points one needs to keep it in mind when you are dealing with multiple consignments in the same vehicle. Next slide, please. Yeah. So what are the causes for the transportation? It can be supply, it can be export or import, job work, SKD, CKD, recipient not known, line sales, sales returns, exhibition of phase, own use, and there can be other reasons also. So the codes for reasons of the transportation 1 to 10 are these. So you have to mention these codes while generating the e-way bill. That is the reason I'm just bringing it to your notice here. Next slide, please. So now we have come to the end of my presentation. So now we will take up all the questions that are there in the chat box. I think that I have cleaned up all of them.
Yeah,
So maybe the last one or two that I will just see that.
correct, sir. There's one from Mr. Ashok. I think that's on the Q&A also. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
we can take it up from there, sir. But Sumati has asked a question. If the same goods is supplied in two different vehicles, should we generate two e-way bills? I think that's what she has meant, if I'm right.
I'll come to that. There is Ganesh Kelkar. Transporter reached the customs warehouse, customer warehouse with invoice. Transport reached the customer warehouse with invoice value of 1 lakh and customer not accepted stock that required are not available for return delivery to supplier's warehouse. Obvious, sir, that it is required. You need to generate another e-way bill. Every movement, once the e-way bill has outlived its purpose, you have to generate the next e-way bill. And then, sir, how to create e-way bill for an invoice which is already delivered to location, then it's again need to transport other location. Can we use the same e-way bill with the change of vehicle number and transporter name is possible, or create a new e-way bill for transportation? I do not know what are the circumstances under which that you are doing it. Once e-way bill is issued and it has served its life, then it is as good as a dead document. So any further movement which is not envisaged at the time of generating the e-way bill, then you have to cover it by another e-way bill. It can be the same vehicle or you can change the vehicle. Vehicle is not a concern, but definitely e-way bill has survived for its life. So once its lifetime is over, then you should not be using the same e-way bill again for further extension. The PPT is going to be shared with you. So I think in the chat box, we don't have, if the same goods is supplied in the two vehicles, should we generate the e-way bill? See, same goods you cannot. It means to say that you are splitting the entire invoice into two lots. If that is the case, then you have an option that you will be generating the e-way bill with the two vehicle numbers, and then you can do that. I think maybe in the demo that they should have touched upon this point, but that option is there with all the ESP, GSP providers and all, and it is something which is doable. Yeah. Then don't pose questions here. It is better that you put it in the Q&A. But there is a way bill time expired before reaching the destination. Is the way bill required to be generated? Sir, before 8 hours before the e-way bill expires, that if you are not in a position to decide whether the e-way bill is going to be surviving till the goods are delivered, then you have to extend its time. Once the e-way bill expired, but goods did not reach the destination, then you will be in deep trouble. So never do such a kind of a mistake, because that the authorities have taken all these practical considerations, and then they have decided the time 100 kilometers per day for normal cargo and 20 kilometers per day for over-dimensional or multimodal transport. In such a scenario, don't take law into your hands by expiring the e-way bill and then seeking for some kind of a extension and all that. Not possible.
Absolutely, sir. So in fact,
coming to the Q&A.
Yeah. So in fact, if you don't mind, since you just spoke about the e-way bill part, I just want to launch one last poll, if that's okay with you, sir.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Just a minute. Okay, why am I not able to share this? Okay, just one moment. Okay, audience, I hope you're able to see this on your screen. Since we just had a discussion on this, I want to launch one poll that's somewhat related to it. What happens if the e-way bill is not verified by an officer en route? I will leave this poll on for a while. And right after this, we'll head back to the Q&A part where the questions will be answered. Okay, interesting. Can we have 5 more responses before I close this? Sir, you're able to see this? Any comments on this? As you can see, I think all of the options are being selected at this point.
What happens if the e-way bill is not verified by an officer en route? So it's cancelled automatically. No. E-way bill will never get cancelled. See, e-way bill gets it will lapse after its life, but it doesn't automatically get cancelled. It can be cancelled within 24 hours. You have an option of cancelling it if you do not want it. But if you really want to deliver the goods, then you should not be cancelling it. Though option is there to cancel it within 24 hours. It remains valid indefinitely. It is not indefinitely. It has got a validity time period. So till that time only, it will be valid. Goods are seized. No. If the officer did not verify and you have delivered the goods, nobody is going to seize the goods. So that is the answer. What happens if the e-way bill is not verified? It is the officer's discretion whether it verifies it or not. There is no mandatory compulsion that each and every e-way bill has to be verified by the officers. No.
Got it. Audience, I hope this has helped. Okay, we can go back to the Q&A, sir. Over to you, sir.
The first question is, any time limit available for generation of e-way bill if invoice date is old but e-way bill is current date? Is any rule available for generation of e-way bill? See, sir, invoice is meant for supply. E-way bill is meant for transportation. So if you wanted to make a supply, you have to generate the e-invoice. Once e-invoice is generated, that if you don't want to supply because of whatever may be the reasons, so you can hold back the goods. But whenever you want to transport the goods, before commencing the movement of the goods, e-way bill has to be filed. So there can be a time gap between these two. But yes, you have created an idea in the minds of the revenue authorities. And now that in the coming months, they are going to come out with some guideline on a time limit between invoice generation and e-way bill generation. So that is going to be implemented soon. But as on today, there is no time limit provided between generation of an invoice and generation of an e-way bill. But whenever you want to move the goods, prior to that movement, e-way bill should be there in place. Next question, what is the criteria for extending the e-way bill both for intra-state and interstate movement? What is the time limit for doing the same? See, sir, I told you that any e-way bill can be extended within 8 hours of its lapsing time, both intra and inter. So, considering the distance that is to be covered within 8 hours time, then you can go for it. And the criteria is you have to tell what is the practical problem you have for seeking extension of the e-way bill time. So it depends on the case-to-case scenario only. Up to 10 kilometers e-way bill is not required, even above 50,000 invoice or any change. There is no change, sir. These are all state-specific laws. Some states have specified 20 kilometers, 50 kilometers. Some states have extended up to 100 kilometers also, no invoice is required. And some states 50,000 and some states have extended it to 2 lakh also. So it is a state-specific legislation. So wherever you want to check these provisions that the state laws are to be referred, then you will have an idea. Is any condition applied there to issue e-way bill? Distance of 50,000 value, both cumulatively, sir. Both cumulatively are to be satisfied. What are the challenges in verification at the time of GST audit regarding billing and e-way bill matching? So this is the reconciliation exercise. So how many invoices that you have billed? How many of them you have transitioned to the e-way bill? How many of them you have delivered? How many are in transit? All this is a reconciliation exercise. That is where I'm telling that if you take the help of flow tax and then all these numbers will be visible on your dashboard. When Divya has demonstrated that in live, that you could see those circles filled with all those colors and all that. That is exactly that how many invoices that you have generated, how many of them that e-way bill you have requested, how many e-way bills have finished their life cycle, and how many are in transit, how many are pending, how many are rejected by you, how many are rejected by your customer. All this data will be available in a dashboard for you. So better that one needs to seriously think about automation. Is it possible to generate e-invoice and e-way bill in one go? Yes, perfectly, no problem at all. If you are immediately making the sale as well as the transportation. What is line sales? Line sales are sales where that you will be selling in a continuous way. So that is what is line sales. How to generate e-way bill for invoice having multiple HSN codes? There is no great deal, sir. The invoice data, wherever it is there, that multiple line items that it allows, so you can include multiple HSNs and all that. And we are sending goods under warranty machines through delivery challan and e-way bill, but department is telling that we have not raised the invoice against these movements. Whether department can say that we are sending goods under warranty machines through delivery challan. See, if there is no consideration, then you can send it under delivery challan, and invoice need not be, because there is no mandate that for each and every movement that there is going to be a commercial consideration. When the goods are sent under warranty, then you are not going to receive any consideration. Hence, definitely invoice will not be there. So delivery challan is the only option. But in the delivery challan, you have to very particularly mention it that the spares are being supplied, the machines are being supplied under warranty, hence no consideration. So department can say that we are nobody to dictate, but when they say that we are supposed to give them the answer. And if they are not satisfied and issue any notice, then maybe that we have to reply to them suitably. But Allah is on your side that what you are doing is right. Is number of kgs aspect considered while transporting branded or unbranded rice regarding generation of e-way bill? See, the number of kgs comes into the picture for Weights and Measures Act. If your bag is more than the 25 kg limit and all, then you know it that you have to comply with Weights and Measures Act. That is the reason after the introduction of the GST, you are seeing all non-standard bags in the supermarkets and other places. 800 grams, 24 kgs, 30 kgs rice bags. Previously, we used to get only 25 kgs rice bag. Now either it is 24 kg or 30 kg. So these are just hoodwinking the system that you want to avoid being compliant. Hence, you are coming out with all these kind of a waste. But there is no kgs criteria for e-way bill generation. The kgs criteria has got something to do with Weights and Measures Act. Packaged commodities, Weights and Measures Act. Is it necessary for the supplier to generate e-way bill when the customer himself picks up the goods and the value of the goods exceeds 50,000? Sir, it is not about the supplier. See, there are three parties involved in any transaction. I told you, supplier, transporter, and the receiver. So any of them can generate. So if the supplier is picking up the goods and if he is putting them on a motorized conveyance and he is going to take it to his place, then definitely e-way bill comes into the picture. Right? And way bill for import shipment, which address should be mentioned in the dispatch from address? See, import shipment here, what we mean is that after completing your import formalities at the customs port, when you are bringing those goods to your factory, then e-way bill is required. Then you will be mentioning your factory address only. If the goods not reached, but e-way bill got expired. See, this I have already answered, that you have burnt your fingers, that within 8 hours of your e-way bill expiry, you should have sought for extension by giving the proper reasons. PPT will be shared. How to generate e-way bill for invoice having multiple HSNs? I have already answered it. Question got repeated.
Yes, sir. Okay, there's one more. I think Mr. Ravindra Gajali is asked.
FOC are supplied along with taxable supply. So the e-way bill should have FOC and taxable goods information. See, sir, while giving your value in the e-way bill, only the taxable supplies only that you will be. FOC anyway that they are at a zero value, hence you will not be adding it to the value. But definitely the invoice will have all those FOC items, but the value will be mentioned as zero only. So when you are giving FOC and the taxable supplies in a single invoice, then only the taxable supplies cumulative total will be the taxable value for that e-way bill generation. FOC is not going to be considered because FOCs are valued at 0. I'm not seeing any other questions from any other participants. Yeah, one more. Is it necessary for the supplier to generate e-way bill when the customer himself picks up? I have already answered it. Customer is registered, unregistered is not the question, sir. I have, while in the PPT that I have already explained to you, even an unregistered person using his Aadhaar PAN can get himself registered and generate e-way bill. We supply FOC in a separate bill. If FOC is separated in a separate bill, then there is no consideration. Hence, they can be under DL also. There is no e-way bill requirement for it. IRN and e-way bill will be required or not for FOC. See, FOC shipment is not a, it is a supply, but it is at a 0 value. So, if they are taxable goods and if you are generating an invoice with a 0 value, then it is, and if you are mandated for e-invoice generation by exceeding 5 crores turnover and all, then IRN is required. E-way bill is required only when the consideration exceeds 50,000 rupees, or it is a intra-state supply within 50 kilometers, not required. So you have to see all those conditions. See separately whether the distance travel is below 50 or above 50, whether it is intrastate or interstate. Definitely interstate means without blinking your eyes, you have to generate the e-way bill. So you have to see all those conditions. If they are satisfied, then you have to generate, otherwise not required.
Okay. So let me just check if anyone wants to directly interact with you. I think Mr.
Sure.
Venkatesh had raised his hand earlier. Audience, if there's anyone who would like to directly interact with our speaker, please use the raise hand feature, or you can just drop a yes. I'll be able to unmute you and you can directly ask him questions. Okay, Mr. Venkatesh, do you have any questions? You had all raised your hand earlier, I believe.
I think that Venkatesh has already left, I think.
Yeah, I just checked. Correct. You're
Yeah.
right. He's not there. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't think that there are any questions. I'm just repeating my invite to you, though separately Websol is going to send it to you. There is going to be an interesting discussion regarding the Supreme Court decision in the matter of Bharti Airtel in the backdrop of the Safari Retreats decision on input tax credit on immovable property. So please do join us on 19th of December. And I sincerely thank all of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to attend this session. Hope that you had some better clarity. Thank you.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much for your time, sir. And I hope to see you very soon. And audience, as Mr. Akela mentioned, we will be sharing the deck. And those of you who showed interest in the demo of our solution, our team will be reaching out to you in the next 1 or 2 working days. So on that note, I will end the session. And as Mr. Akela mentioned, our next webinar, the invites will be shared very soon. So we look forward to seeing you all in the next webinar. So until then, it is me signing off. Thank you so much and have a wonderful evening, all of you. Thank you all.